What is up, everybody? It's Verdict here, and thank you so much for stopping by. Now, the Global Labs today was updated with our lovely Awakening Maegu, and it's actually raining. Hold on a minute. Alright guys, so this video is going to be a little bit interesting and rather different because I did intend on actually absolutely trashing on the class before I started playing. It came from a lot of biasness, but this video will not judge Maegu on Awakening's damage, because there was no way for us to properly evaluate the damage onto the Global Labs. For whatever reason, she came out with different types of scalings onto the Global Labs. She got 30% of her Awakening cut, and instead Succession was supposed to give her the other 30, which totally balances out usually the things, but also Global Labs is a different types of a place, so you don't have artifacts here, or you have to go grind them, etc, etc. I really always rather avoid the testing from Global Labs. Instead, what we're looking for here is really how the character plays, what's the intent of it, does it reminisce upon other classes, mechanics, this and that, and really produce a verdict, full pun intended, on what's going on with Awakening Maegu. Now, let's go a little bit backward. So, Succession Wusa was the first of the sisters that came out, and obviously I intentionally bashed upon the class, but there was a lot of meaning behind it. Then we get Succession Maegu, which was just the more unique of the two sisters. It filled the purpose, it had a purpose. Meanwhile, Succession Wusa was really kind of substituting for 3 other classes, and we don't want to have a situation where a class substitutes for 3 others because it takes away power from 3 other sources and instead gives it to 1. Then we have Awakening Wusa, which unfortunately is just a poor version of Succession Maegu, and now we have Awakening Maegu, chronologically speaking. And today we're going to look into, is this class original? What's the deal with it? How does it play? First impressions, this is it. So from the get-go, if you look at the abilities, one of the things is very important for us to note is that Maegu on Awakening is actually one of the very few, if rather not the first, floating class. A lot of her abilities actually deal floating damage. She's a very fast-paced combat character, and she really kind of enjoys this particular type of a fast-paced combat, and in general you could say that she is one of the more faster, I would say rather like a sword faster types of characters. So you will expect a lot of shenanigans from this class into the PvP scene. Her source generations, this and that, what is her bread and butter type of thing? What defines Awakening Maegu? Now, onto the Heido Bowl Festa that we had literally yesterday or like 2 days ago, whatever it is. So we kind of saw the big teaser for her, and everybody was screaming off of their mouths, oh my god, this is pretty much a better Awakening Nova mixture with Sorceress. My chat was kind of really backing me up on this statement, and not just that, Twitch also kind of got this same notion, and in general, we have to kind of sit back, relax, and wait a bit so we can play it. Now, what I can say for this class is, if I can summarize it in one sentence, it would be, this class definitely reminisces on Awakening Nova's steroid empowered generation. Like, it's exactly like this, but it also is that with a combination of the way Succession Kunoichi works with her utility defensive offensive 3 marks you unload with 1 ability, although it's not really exactly the same, but in truth it is a gauntlet combo generation. I know, it's very confusing, but this is how the class works. Essentially, you have 3 stages of this buff that you can unleash. Once these 3 stages are unleashed, so this is stage number 1, you get 2.5 to 5 to 10% increased critical hit or critical hit damage. We're yet to really find out because translations on Global Labs is something that we can't really handle. So once these are up and running, you can choose from a lot of these abilities that have separated effects down described below the abilities tooltip. So these special effects are really different, so you have to make a conscious decision upon creating your combo on what are you aiming for to execute. So it's not a spontaneous thing with a spontaneous decision making. No, you have to deliberately, consciously make a rotation that is going to support the outcome that you have predicted, and this is where the class becomes incredibly complicated. So this is not a thing that you can really turn your brain off and say, okay, we're done with this, I can just simply grind after work, put no effort into this. This is a complicated class. One of the things that this class is having is far too much damage. I know that we've said we're not going to talk about the damage here and there, but there is no way we can avoid this ability. The Shift Q ability is something that is so devastating to the point where there is no other ability in the game that does what this ability does. So let's have a look at it. It has attack damage multiplier of 1981% times 8, it has a critical hit rate of 100, accuracy rate of 20%, and oh boy, it does not end up there. It has attack speed, casting speed, and movement speed minus 30%. Not just that, but it's also a tier 3 add-on. So this means that you can pump this up to 40%, making essentially your character unplayable. It has a knockdown only into the PvE scene, but still super armor and dawn attack. And the damage reduction is minus 63% in PvP, which is ridiculously low. This type of damage reduction is almost inconsequential, really, for an ability with the magnitude of this one. The Shift Q ability is something like the bread and butter. This is the 100% variation of it. The Shift Q ability is pretty much the bread and butter of the one-shot of this. The moment you get debuffed by this, it's really, really unfair. One of the things about this is that it applies onto all of the hits of the ability, so if you get grazed for a single second, you get slowed. Think of it the Hashashin on Awakening Shift RMB, the same types of thing. It's a tier 3 item, the same types of thing. And if you ever even get there for a single second, you are going to get slowed unless you move away as fast as possible, and that's a lot of skill. So, overall, this is a floating kind of PvP-oriented class that will also be able to grind quite viably onto the PvE scene. We are yet to get a true feeling for this, but still, my first impression with Awakening Maegu is very, very good. I really wanted to see if the class has something in terms of depth, and it really has. I really wanted to see if the class can really offer more than just blind mobility, and it really can. I really wanted to see if the class can have something like a purpose, and it truly does. So even though this is a class that reminisces on 3 other classes in general, Gauntlets, Awakening Nova, and Sorks, well, I would say that it reminisces in the right ways, and I don't think at any given point will she be replacing these classes. Perhaps we can say an argument about Succession and Awakening Sorceress, but still, we're yet to see. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for checking the video out. And if you want to see a more raw reaction of this, make sure to check the streams over here, because we did cover this on stream today, earlier. Thank you so much, guys. Love you to death. Mwah. See you soon.